Hey everyone, welcome to Buzzing About Romance. I am Becky.
And I am Leah.
And for this episode, we are joined by all of our podcast contributors. I believe this is the first time that we have had everybody on one episode together.
I think so.
So we're
This is a lot of chaos.
It's a lot of chaos, but we're super excited about this episode. So for this year, we decided that you guys should know what the top reads from all of our contributors are for 2022. You always listen to Leah and I, but it's really awesome because everybody that contributes to the podcast reads very diversely and, has different niches and stuff that they like. And I just want to give everybody a chance to hear what kind of books they like and books that they think you all should be reading. So we're just going to go through the lineup here and welcome everybody. So, hey, Jenny, welcome.
Hi.
Hello, Heather.
Hello.
Hi, Carolina.
Hello.
Hi, Rachel.
Hey.
And Lindsay. Hi, Lindsay.
Hey.
I feel like, so I'm old, and I feel like the 70s romper room with her magnifying glass, and I see Jenny and Rachel and Carolina. Anyway, that's just me. So before we get into, so everybody in this episode is going to give you their top 3 books of the year, but we're also going to talk about.
Get your TBRs ready, and let's just say you're welcome from the get-go.
Right. So on this episode of Buzzing About Romance, we are wrapping up our year in reading with Contributor Edition. 2022 has a lot of great and amazing books, and our contributors have found some new favorite authors, and they're going to tell you about their year in reading and their top 3 books they read that were published between December of 2021 and November of 2022, which this is very hard because today I was working on my own list for Leah and I's episode.
Why were you messing with your list?
I'm changing things.
Oh, cheese and rice, Becky.
I know.
Why?
Right? Because it's hard. It's not, right, guys? It's hard to pick your top 3, isn't it?
Very much.
Your top 3,
Very
but
hard.
also I'm just double checking really quick that it actually was this year because I thought I did that.
Well, because funny story.
Oh my gosh.
So funny story. I was doing my list and I had it all set. It was ready to go. And I was double checking dates and I fucked up 3 of the months. They were in the wrong month completely. I had to start from scratch.
You will not be fired if your books were not published this year. Do not worry. Do not worry.
Fired for sure.
Yes,
Fired. I'm fine. I'm very fine. It just feels like they were published.
You had a moment. You had a moment of panic.
Was it still this year? Yes, it was. It feels like it was 5 years ago.
So let's talk about how your reading year was. Overall, just jump in, whoever, it doesn't matter. How was your reading year? Did you experience slumps? Was it just really great? You found so many new authors. Are you feeling any reader burnout? I know that jobs have changed for some of us and things are a little different. So tell us about your year in reading.
I'll go.
Go.
I had a really good year for most of it. I didn't discover too many new authors, but last year I had a tough time with new to me authors. So this year my goal was to just kind of read what I know I'm going to like. And then I also discovered audiobooks in May.
I did too.
Was an absolute game changer. My job got really busy, and that was the only way I could read for a good chunk of this year. So I don't know what I was doing not reading audiobooks before now, but I'm very, very happy that I discovered those this year.
Audiobooks are a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
We've been telling you, Rachel, for a long time.
Oh, I know. I just, I didn't listen. I should have listened sooner, but, I did listen eventually.
Well, and with the right narrators, it changes the whole dynamics of the book.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Your hobby just got more expensive.
It did. Oh, only $8 to add WhisperSync? Click.
One click. Saved. Carolina, what about you? What was your reading year like?
Overall, it was good. I feel like I had a lot more ups and downs. Like I would have some truly spikes of really high highs and then just hit bottom with some slumps. So it was kind of like an emotional all over the board reading. And then more towards the last part of the year, because my work got super busy, just seasonally get super busy. I did a lot less arcs and did a lot more like mood reading, which has been so satisfying because I got to just binge read series, which I just always find joy and pleasure in that, staying with the characters, staying in that world, and not having to jump out for other commitments. So I feel like I'm ending on a positive, which is great. Like, you can forgive those valleys.
You can.
If the last few reads are really solid.
How was your reading year, Lindsay? I would like to say I believe that Lindsay's reading year was, hey, Lindsay, it's Becky. Could you please read this book? Yes, I'll read this book. Oh my God, I love this book. Does that describe your reading year, Lindsay?
A lot of it, yeah.
I feel like I've done that to her like 3 times in the past 2 weeks.
50% of the books today are recommendations from Becky. And then I would say the other 50% are books that Leah and I have just like completely obsessed over.
It's true.
There's like no middle ground for me, but I will say this is really interesting because authors that I've absolutely loved in the past, like die hard fan, like going crazy kind of, I've just been kind of disappointed with them. So a lot of the authors that I've been reading have been new to me this year. 90% of the books that I read this year were new to me authors. So that was kind of really impressive, I think. And then, so, whatever is in there, it's also new to me genres. Like I've been reading a lot of paranormal lately, or like fantasy, or even dark romance. And that's not something I used to do. I used to be very much like contemporary rom-com. So I've definitely branched out a lot this year. I was very surprised when I went back at all these books.
There is an eclectic like grouping for you. I've noticed that like when we've talked about books, like there's a wide variety.
Things got really weird in like September.
Which, coming from Lindsay, it must be really weird.
Really weird.
What about you, Jenny?
There's a lot of mafia.
So funny. What about you, Jenny?
I definitely like had the ups and downs like everyone else. I felt like over the summer I did not read as much as I had anticipated reading. My children are a lot more work than I remember them being. So, and also I was taking on a lot of arcs, and I felt like everyone was kind of crazy, like over the summer, like you would get an arc like 3 days before you like needed to turn in a review. And then like all of a sudden I had like 15 books that needed to be read in 15 days. So this fall I just like stopped signing up for arcs, and like Carolina said, like more mood reading and be much more happier with what I'm reading, which makes it more enjoyable. Just like you're not focused on like what's wrong with the book, what's going well for this book. Like you can just
and you're not being forced to I know you
Right.
signed up for an arc, but when you get it with such a small timetable, which I do see a lot more authors giving shorter times, like then you're forced to read it, like whether you're ready for it or not.
right, especially like, and you get sick, or your kids get sick, or something comes up, and then like you feel like rushed to like read a book and not enjoy it.
Yeah.
What about you, Heather? How was your reading year?
It was very slumpy. A lot of ups and downs. I think I was really anticipating I'd have a lot more time in the summer to read, and I just kind of got into a rut, and I just kind of went back and did some rereading. The fall was really school starting. It was just, I don't know. I feel like I haven't really kind of gotten back in the groove. I, like everyone else here, kind of stepped back from arcs, just kind of to read what, kind of whatever like popped up on my Kindle, basically. If I'm scrolling through Facebook in a group and I was like, oh, so I downloaded. And I think that that was super helpful for me. That's where I found a lot of my top authors. I had a goal of reading 300 books, and for the first time in a long time, I did not make my goal.
So let's talk about that. Did anybody else meet or not meet? What's your reading goal status? So Heather, you did not meet your reading goal this year.
No.
Carolina, did you meet your reading goal for the year?
I'm close to it. My reading goal is 200 and I'm at 192. So, I mean, I have a little bit reading due. It'll be close.
It'll be
I'll
close.
be close to it.
Jenny, did you meet your reading goal for the year?
I didn't make one because it makes me anxious. Like,
That's fine.
I feel like it's like gotta be due. Like,
Like you're back in school.
yes. So I did not make one.
Rachel, did you meet your Goodreads reading goal?
I did. My goal was 365 and I'm at like 412.
Okay.
But
Lindsay.
I've read a lot of novellas.
But I've been told that they count.
They count.
They do count. And the best thing about a reading goal is it doesn't matter what someone else considers reading. If
Yeah.
someone else doesn't want to count novellas towards their goal, that's fine. You can
Mhm.
count them towards yours.
Right.
I count them and I count rereads.
Yeah. I count rereads too.
Me too.
I don't count like the 30-page novellas because those
Oh
like
no. Yeah, I don't.
but like if we're talking at least like over 70 pages, then I count it.
Yeah.
If I read and it's called a book and it has pages, I'm counting it.
Yeah. If it is
Okay, then
Yeah.
if we're going by Becky's rules, I've surpassed my goal.
Also, I
think
will
my
say,
problem-
Heather, I didn't count the really naughty, ridiculous books that we read. I don't put those on my
like
Goodreads.
no, I've had to stop 'cause my
milking
neighbors all
ones?
see them.
Yeah, yes, all the stupid milking ones that we found.
Oh my god.
What I have a hard time with is like going back. Like I'll listen to audiobooks and then I struggle to go back and tell Goodreads. Like, oh, I read this book. Do you know what I mean?
Oh
No.
yeah, Past Leah is always pissed off at Future Leah. Or Future Leah is always pissed off at Past Leah. Lindsay, did you make your reading goal this year?
I didn't set a reading goal. I wanted to actually basically my one goal around reading was to actually write down all the books that I read this year so that they'll maybe eventually make it into Goodreads.
Did you do that? Because I don't do that well.
I did write them down, but I have a notebook for it now because I was just kind of like sloppy with it. So I only have the books from March. I lost my January through
Okay,
early March.
You can go back on your phone
In
and
your
in your
insights.
insights and scroll all the way back and it'll show you every book you've read this year. But I will
And that's
say,
the audiobooks. It doesn't do that.
oh,
for
it
the
doesn't do
audio-
audiobooks. If you're
Mm.
part of Buzzing About Romance, we do have reading list cards that get
Yeah,
mailed
but you
out.
have to remember to fill them out.
Where were they in January to March? They were
Well,
not
they
in-
didn't hit
That's true, they
people's
didn't
things
exist
until
then.
this fall.
No. So I eventually I hope to find that list, but as far as this year goes, I didn't really set any goals, but I will say I really exceeded my expectations this year. In terms of how many books I read just the books I had on my list. It was 173.
Go
That's
you.
a lot. That's a
There's
lot.
There's
for-
probably 70 of those were like, Lindsay, read this book.
Yeah.
Okay, so does anybody have any new favorite authors that they discovered this year that you absolutely think we should give some shout outs to?
I have one. Well, I have more than one, but new to me author this year is Riley Hart, romance author. But my favorite thing that she does in her newsletter, she recommends new on the scene authors in the LGBTQ plus community and then gives them a shout out. And so that is where I have found some really amazing authors. So I think that is one very cool thing she does.
That is really neat. Anybody else have any new authors that they think we should shine a light on for this year? New
I'm
to you.
obsessed with Juliet Cross.
Juliet
I
Cross.
love her.
I have no chill about her at all.
Max Walker was new to me. I know he's been reviewed on the podcast before, but I read his entire backlist this year and I am eagerly awaiting his next book. So definitely if you like he's a gay author writing gay romance and it's awesome, and his audiobooks are always so good.
Yes, and
so good.
Greg Bordeaux reads his audiobooks and that guy is like magic in your ears. Magic.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And Max Walker has like TikTok and Instagram, and he's adorable, and he has like pets, and he does a great job highlighting the dogs.
They're so stinking cute.
I know.
Jenny, did you have any new to you authors you were love that you want to give shout out to?
Like Sawyer Bennett was new for me this year, so without you guys I probably wouldn't have picked her up. I know, Heather, I know.
Okay, she was new to me last year, so
I just want to give a shout out to Swati MH. She was new to me this year. Natalie Kenya, A Proposal They Can't Refuse, that book. You know, amazing. So those were 2 new to me this year authors that I just adored. And I think I made everybody read. At least 2 of you had to read those books. So, right? At least.
I think a proposal they can't refuse. I think summer reading challenge, we had to do the buddy reads on Friday. And she was like, somebody read A Proposal They Can't Refuse so we get bonus points.
Yep.
And then we all read it and it was amazing.
So
I found I actually ended up reading a lot of new authors this year. 2 of my top 3 books are actually new to me authors, which is like a really pleasant surprise. But then some of the other ones were like Carrie Elks, Lauren Rowe, Kaylee Ryan. And like after reading them, I'm like, why did it take me so long to read these books?
Your list sounds like my list.
That same conversation every day.
Well, and I just did it with Rachel, actually. She like has been pushing an author for over a year. Is like, Becky, read this author. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I picked up a book and I read it last night and like I was laughing so hard. I was shaking the bed and gonna wake Mike Burrier up. So I mean, and then I sit here and think, why did I wait so long? What is wrong with me? Also, Rachel is excited because she can gloat. She can gloat. So
I was like so nervous.
I think we're so lucky that we have like this romance community where there are so many amazing authors that we literally just don't have time to read their books. I mean, like that's a pretty great problem to have, right?
It is.
Well, and it's great because these are actually all of these authors were referred by either the contributors that are on here or the community. So it's, it's great to say like, hey, I'm looking for this, and like our Discord is just flooded with recommendations. Like try this person or this person or this book or this book or this book, and you almost like, okay, I need to narrow this down even more.
Right. Yeah, don't ask for book recs in Discord unless you have like a pencil and paper and are prepared.
Or you need something very, very, very specific.
Yeah.
Because they come at you and you're like, whoa, okay. 16 new books I'm going to read.
But it's great because it gives you a place to start versus like randoming. Sometimes it's like you do a general Google search and you get the list from Amazon or in Goodreads, and it can be overwhelming. So I will take this book list of 16 books over the hundreds that you get on those. Because also if the community is recommending it, like that just bumps it up because then there's people I trust.
Sometimes when Goodreads tells me a book is good, I don't trust that.
Right.
But if 7 people in the community say this is a book you need to read, I'm gonna read it.
I think she makes a really good point about our community, because like the recommendations you get in our community, because like once you spend any amount of time with us in the Discord, people learn your taste, and then the book recommendations you get are so spot on whatever you're looking for in the moment. Which is like also why I always read whatever Becky's telling me to read. Because if she's telling me to read it, it's usually like almost every single book she recommended for me this year, because of how well she knows what I like to read, has been like a 5-star read.
Well, it's funny because Jen Ellen posted today in the Discord, she read His Holiday Treat by Sarah Bale, and Becky and I were raving about that book and how much we loved it. She's like, I just need to listen to Becky and Leah all the time. They don't steer me wrong, which we might miss every once in a while.
I was going
but-
to say, we still miss because, I've picked up a book and said, oh, let's read this. It's got good ratings. It sounds really right up our alley.
But that's a
And
case
then we're
where like we
like-
picked it up and like we talk about it and then we start to read it. So it's like, and then we're like, don't read this. It was terrible.
And then there's a
Yeah.
conversation between Carolina. I think more than half of our quick shots this year started off as different titles.
Yes, I would agree.
I think
And
it was more than
think
half.
I think it was more than half, actually. It would be interesting to go back and look at the list because I could probably say, nope, this changed, like
Mhm.
once that was. I felt like especially there was a season where it was like every single time we picked a book, it was
I feel like it's more
Like
an
somebody
80-20
started it
split
or-
there.
like one of us started it and the other one was like, I'm like, or it was like, no, we need to find something else. This
Yeah.
is just not
Not working.
And
Jenny, you and I had a similar issue this year too.
Yes.
We would start a book and we'd be like, okay, we're going to read this. And then it's like, oh, don't do it. Don't, you're going to be mad. Don't read it.
Because I read one and
So
I was like,
funny.
oh, if Becky reads this, she's gonna be pissed. Like,
Okay, so before we get to top threes, let's answer the rest of these questions. Do you have a bookish resolution for 2023? For example, maybe you're someone who doesn't read blurbs and your New Year bookish resolution in 2023 is going to be, I'm going to try to read blurbs. I'm not, because that takes away the fun of my life.
Well, but also I like to yell at you about it.
Well, I have
It takes away the
decided
fun of my life too.
there is more fun for me not reading blurbs because it totally drives Rachel insane. So I just have to keep doing.
Insane.
Sometimes I force read her blurbs on our FaceTime calls.
She
they don't
does.
always
Go ahead.
match.
They don't always match, and that makes me very grumpy as well. But there are times where Becky and I will be talking about a book, and she's like, "Oh, what is this?" I'm like, "I will just read the blurb," and I just start reading it to her, and she just has to sit through it
Don't
because
read
if not, she'd
blurbs.
just
Takes away
oh,
all the
not
fun.
funny.
Anyway, does anybody have a bookish resolution for 2023?
I want to get better at reels. And so I'm asking my young friend Rachel. We keep meaning to do it,
Oh,
but I
Hello.
suck at them. Suck at them. So I'm going to try and get better.
That's fair. Carolina, any bookish resolution?
yeah, I've had to be on a hiatus from Instagram for a little bit because of work and life and all of that. Like I pop in and just connect with people, but haven't been posting a whole lot. So, and I missed it. So I'm get back on the gram.
Get back
Yeah,
on
my
track.
Instagram game has been weak
I
this
think
year.
all of us. Jenny, what's your bookish resolution? Do you have one?
Probably to keep better track of things like what categories they fall into.
Bookshelves.
Your
Maybe
shelves,
actually,
your Goodreads
making more.
shelves.
I still only have like 3 shelves, like read, reading, to be read.
How do you function? How do you function? Rachel, do you have a bookish resolution?
I would also like to keep better track. I don't know that I'm going to make it a resolution. I really don't think it'll ever happen. I just don't
mean,
see it
there's-
happening.
There's
That's like a
clarity.
Fair.
stretch. That's a stretch goal for me. That would be great if I could do that. I want to be more comfortable in not reading full series if they don't need to be read. I just force myself to read a series of 14 novellas because it's a series, and some of them were like not good at all.
Join the
You
dark
know,
It was
side.
like very awful.
Read chaotic.
Novella series, I won't read like all of them.
Well,
like I
they
pick and
all
choose
had-
on those.
They all had a same tie-in. So I was like, oh, well, I would like to read all of these. And some of them were new to me authors. And it was a mistake.
Uh-huh.
It was a mistake. And I would like to just be better about,
Join
Saying
the dark
no.
side. Read
look
chaotic.
at, like, if someone I trust reviews it as a 2-star, like, trust that person and maybe don't read it.
Maybe don't. Lindsay, what's your bookish resolution for 2023?
I actually want to update Goodreads, but like I was talking about this with you the other day that I want to create like, you know, that new TikTok trend where the authors create the book review or like they summarize the book and then they don't necessarily tell you what the book is. I want to do that with bad book reviews. Like there are some books that I've just been like so mad I read this year and I don't want to like publicly shame anyone, but I think that would be like a really funny thing to do.
You should do that. You can do that.
And it would be like
I mean,
a
nobody
outlet
puts the fucking
for my
title of a book on there
frustration.
anyway, so
Um,
I get a little ragey about that one.
You do.
yeah, but I think it's appropriate for that format with
It
negative
is.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
like the perfect. So I would like to do that. I don't know that it'll happen. I don't think Goodreads will happen either.
Guys,
I
it's
will
different.
say the trick to starting to track on Goodreads is don't go backwards. Just start now and go
Yeah.
forward.
Mhm.
And the other thing that I've found helpful for me is that when I'm in Goodreads saying I've completed a book, is the same time I go and put it in shelves. Like
Yeah,
just
I
do
do
it
that.
right
Like
away.
when I do my review, I drop it in my shelves.
No, like I'm not even doing like I'm doing the rating, not even like the written review. Like I'm
Yeah.
doing
Oh,
the
see, if I
rating.
do that, I won't go back and do the review. I
And-
have to do it all at the same time.
Like I need time to write the review, but like I do the rating and the shelves all at the same time. And that so even if it's a book like that I don't have to do a review for, like I'm not committed to do a review, I at least have that done
Mhm.
while it's still fresh.
Yeah, I think that makes a difference. Are you going to set a reading goal in 2023? And what is your number? Jenny? Nope. Jenny's a no. Rachel, reading goal? What is your number?
Oh yeah, I'll set one. Probably 365 again.
Probably 365. Carolina, reading goal?
I'm gonna do 200 again. Keep it. It felt like it was a good pace this year. And,
Yeah.
and I don't want to overcommit myself.
Heather, you?
I will, and I'll probably do like 250. That seems like a more reasonable number. for
Number.
me.
Lindsay, what about you?
Maybe 100.
Maybe.
We'll just see how it goes.
We'll
It's
just
okay to start small.
It's okay. Does anybody have one title that they're waiting for in 2023 that you are the most excited for? Is there like a book that you are desperate for and it comes out in 2023 that should be on everybody's radar? Rachel is like shaking with excitement to tell us this
She
title.
is.
Jasper Vale by Devney Perry comes out in January, and I cannot wait. I'm obsessed with the Eden series. One of the books is in my top 3.
Oh,
We'll see which one.
wonder
But-
which one.
I'm super excited for it.
Okay.
Super excited.
Does anybody else?
Becky asked me that today. She goes, "What are you excited? Like, what have you pre-ordered?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's like a little surprise to my future self. I don't write it
Same.
down."
Acre comes out in 2023.
I will say, Ken, my top read, the next book comes out in January. Oh, so
Excited
that
for
is coming.
Anybody else have a title they can't wait for in 2023?
I have 2. They're both series completers. Like
What you got?
one is Not As Planned by Harlow James that comes out in January. And the other one is Every Shade of Winter by Carrie Elks from her Winterville series. Like I just not just, but a few weeks ago, I like caught up in that series and I need North's story like
Yep.
right now. March is too far away.
Same friend. That damn Winterville. Lindsay, do you have a title?
Yes. I want to read Grim and Barrett by Juliet Cross. Like
Oh,
yesterday.
yeah.
I'm dying for that book. And I will tell you, when I found out that it was not coming out until May, I was so confused because she had one came out, I think it was like at the beginning of September, and then the next one came out at the end of October on Halloween, and they were so quick together. And when I looked like 10 times to verify for my sanity that it was really May. I was like, this is gonna be a joke. And I like every now and then I'm like, it's really May. And it's really May. It's really May. And it's perfect timing. It'll be great. But
It's a long
like,
time to wait, though.
I don't know. I've been reading all of her backlist. Like I think I've been like crazy about her since July.
Oh my god, it's the sex nachos, isn't it?
It's the sex nachos.
I don't know. Yeah, it was the Sex Nachos, but then we read Bright Like Wildfire. I don't know. But I really
Yeah.
love this story. It got me back into paranormal romance, which is what initially got me into romance. So I'm really excited for it.
What about you, Jenny? Anything you are excited and can't wait for?
Not like any. Maria Lewis still has not released a new
Oh
King.
my gosh.
I know.
I'm
I hope it
desperate.
comes out in 2020.
I understand.
I think
like
it
she
will.
has. Yes, I understand. She's had a lot of hard things happen. I just
Mhm.
need that book like 2 years ago.
Agreed.
One that's on my radar, and I do want to preface this with saying that we are aware that HarperCollins Union is on strike right now, and we are not reviewing their books, but we are asking you to support the authors that happen to write under HarperCollins imprints. But one book that I am desperate for in 2023 is Full Moon Over Freedom, which is the follow-up, book 2, in After Hours on Milagro Street. I fell in love with that family and that series and that book, and I really would like the next book. So anyway, hopefully HarperCollins can get their heads out of their asses and get a deal so I can have my book. Anyway.
Moving on.
Moving on. Okay, people. Let's hear top threes. We're just going to go around the room. You can give us one. Tell us briefly something dynamic about the book and why people should be picking it up. And we'll just start with Lindsay. Lindsay, you can either
Wait,
start at
just
your
one?
book 3.
We're
Start with,
gonna like round table.
yeah,
it,
we're
like,
gonna
robin.
just do one. Start
Okay.
with the third, and then save your top read for the last one.
Okay.
So what comes in at number 3 for you?
A Proposal They Can't Refuse by Natalie Kent.
Oh my gosh, that book. It's the
I bet
Grandpas.
I've got 2 of yours on my list.
It's the Grandpas. It's the Grandpas.
It is the Grandpas.
Heather, what you got?
My first one is Callum by Callum by Cal O'Reilly. It is Mafia. It's an interconnected series. He's a mafia boss in Chicago. She's kind of like a free spirit. She describes herself as witchy. So she like purifies his house. And at one point she put candles by his front door so she could purify the people walking through. It's hilarious.
Not sure how you purify mob, but okay.
Correct. That's what makes it so great.
Carolina, number 3, coming in at 3rd place.
Coming at 3rd place is Now's the Time by Harlow James. It's book 3 in the Ladies Who Brunch series. And it's Penelope, who's the PR rep, the ball buster in the series, like the go-to girl, like to support all the women in their group, and Maddox, the pro football player. I have to say the chemistry is fire from the beginning. They both have power, strength, confidence, but they both dealt with something in the past. So it makes their story like that much deeper.
Excellent. Okay, Rachel, book coming in at 3rd place for you.
So I did not rank these. It was
That's
very
okay.
hard for me to even pick 3.
She's been complaining all
Just
day that I made her pick 3.
Prefacing that. I'm like, I don't know how you did this to me. So
We
The third
only
one
had
on
a
my
certain
list
time.
is Always Mine by Laura Pavlov. It's the first book in the Honey Mountain series. Small town, friends to lovers, firefighter hero, all the things I love. It's wonderful.
Okay, Jenny, coming in 3rd or at random, whatever.
3rd is Forest Between Us by Allie Winters. It has the most unique like Vegas wedding like start that I've ever read, and you get a fall in love with this small town with the female main character.
I
Excellent.
love a Vegas wedding.
Me too.
Okay, Lindsay, back to you, coming in 2nd place.
After Hours on Milagro Street by Angelina M. Lopez.
That book. It's fire.
It was so good. So we did quick shots on this one as well. And I love the story. I love the heroine. She's just like so fierce and yet has such a big heart. And she was a really unique heroine that we don't always see. But like the opening scene of that book, I will never get over it. Like when she thinks he's a ghost, and
Yeah, they have
it's
sex
just-
like on
it's-
page
it's-
2.
Yeah, they do. But like that opening scene where she thinks he's a ghost and they're not really sure and about like what's really happening. It's just hysterical. It's the best start to a book I've read in a very long time. So I'm obsessed with that one.
Heather, what comes in at number 2 for you?
Well, I also didn't rank mine, so just so you know. Number 2 is Hades by Anna Hackett. It is a security firm, CIA analyst, or some mafia ties. Wrong place, wrong time. Super dysfunctional. He's kind of like a playboy, and she's kind of like I don't know, she kind of describes herself as plain Jane. And it's Gabby and Mateo, also known as Hades. And one of my favorite lines that he says to her is, Bella, beauty isn't one thing.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
a smooth talker.
Uh,
He is.
Mateo.
Mhm.
Carolina, what comes in at second place or number 2?
Number 2, A Proposal They Can't Refuse by Natalie Kenya. A new to me author. In addition to the grandfathers, I will say the main characters, Camila and Liam, and actually all the characters, exude so much passion. And especially for Camila and Liam in their individual careers of what they do with food and whiskey, like it just seeps off the pages, and then also for each other. And I also want to say that it addresses social issues too, of gentrification of their neighborhood in just a realistic and great way. Like
I love that
it's
book.
just a fabulous, and listen to the audiobook.
Yes.
The audio narration, I listened to the audiobook. Highly recommend. 15 out of 10 listen.
Yeah.
Do it.
So good. Okay, Rachel, not in any particular order, but the second book you're going to share with us because I'm
Okay.
mean.
Juniper Hill by Devney Perry.
Yeah.
Book 2 in the Eden series. All I have to say about this is Knox Eden.
Oh my God. That's enough.
I love him.
That.
I
I'm
love
waiting
him.
until the last book comes out, and I'm gonna binge the
It's
crap out of that
it's
series.
small town single mom.
It's in
It's
KU
wonderful.
now. That series is
It's
in
in
KU
KU
now.
now.
And honestly, Indigo Ridge was phenomenal, and Juniper Hill is amazing. I didn't read Garnet Flats.
I
but
love Garnet Flats.
There are things that bother
I
me,
loved it.
but we won't talk about that. Jenny, coming in at second place.
Bitter Sweetheart by Helena Hunting. It's the second book in the Lies, Hearts, and Truth series, and it's just like the best second gen series I've ever read. Like, I love seeing the adult parents that you've loved from other series actually be great parents. And there's a lot of emotion and tough things dealt with very well.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is also an age gap. She's older than him, correct?
Correct.
So good.
And she's also
Very good.
his professor.
They meet before they know that,
A little bit of a
so it's
sticky
not as
wicket.
creepy.
Sticky wicket. Lindsay, coming in at number 1 for you is.
I was really upset I couldn't just pick Juliet Cross for all my books.
I mean, was
No,
that a
I'm
rule
really
somewhere?
serious.
Like-
I'm gonna say Resting Witch Face by her because I was an English major. I read all the classics. The only one that I even remotely liked was Great Gatsby. Sue me, I know, like I hate all of them. All of them except Great Gatsby, which I I like. And there's like this element to Resting Witch Face where all the things that break your heart in Great Gatsby are like righted with those two characters, and like the emotional depth that I felt in response to reading that story. I haven't felt that way since like I was a teenager reading Harry Potter.
Okay.
Like I
That's such a
love
good
books
book.
as an adult, but like to connect with a book like that, something that I haven't experienced in like almost 20 years. It was just really powerful, and like I keep reading more of her books, and I just love her so much.
I think that's great. And I mean, you can have Juliet Cross as your top author read for the whole year because I know that you
Yeah.
really connected with her is an author and the stories she tells.
It broke my heart to not pick Sex Nachos.
Okay. Oh my God.
It's okay. We've talked about them enough.
They
And we
were
brought them up on here multiple times. We still have the Smarty Pants episode in the works, so we can talk all about the Sex Nachos then.
Heather,
Perfect.
what is leading the top of your list in no particular order because I'm mean and I made you only pick 3. I don't know.
So it is called Fool Heart, and it is by Emmy Sanders. It is actually her debut author or debut book. It is in the Plum Valley Cowboy series. So it's an MM romance, small town, friends to lovers, rancher cowboy, by or ace awakening, a single parent, and it is so emotional. So you follow Wyatt and Easton through their childhood and into adulthood. I read it this summer. So I was going back through it last night and I was sobbing. I woke up and there were tear stains in my glasses. And so just my favorite quote from the whole book. The moment I stepped back inside this house and brushed past my friend, it felt like a piece of myself had been untethered, snapped back into place. Like my very atom recognized Easton's and settled back into my skin and bones. It doesn't matter that it means something more to me. Easton is my soulmate. You guys, this book is so beautiful. And I can't recommend it enough. And you will cry, and then she will put your heart back together. And she does it over and over in this whole series. And it's in KU. So
Carolina, what's your top read or number 1 book, whatever? Last book.
This one was also a new to me author from Spotty MH, A Beautiful Chaos. I was just blown away by this book. Jenna is Indian American. Waylon is Mexican American. They both both of their parents are immigrants. And so they're dealing with some family issues, family expectations. But their cultures were written into the story so naturally and organically. Like this, this isn't like somebody trying to write this. This is somebody who knows this. And there's also like a little feel of like a love letter to San Francisco because Jenna becomes a tour guide for San Francisco. Her first tour is hilarious because she accidentally takes some edible mints and it's
The whole Fruity Pebbles in that
and then
book.
Fruity Pebbles, her like obsession with Fruity Pebbles that don't make just one appearance. Like she didn't give a character like an obsession that shows up once. It comes.
If this is the one where she smells them and the Fruity Pebbles make her like,
and she has a whole thing with nature documentaries. You guys.
Yes. Like it's so good. And she also just like one of my favorite quotes that I pulled is she says to Waylon, somehow I'm always tripping or falling around you because she's just accident prone. And then his internal monologue is, me too, little bird, you just can't see it. They just have, it's like childhood friends to one night stand to fake relationship, like second chance kind of element. It's so good.
Swati is one of those authors that if you haven't read her, she is one that I wish everybody would sit down and just read one book of hers. I made Rachel read one of her books. I made Carolina read one of her books, and I made Lindsay read one of her books this year, and all different titles actually. And they were just so dynamic. And I was just talking about her today on TikTok with Tish because she just read one of her books, and it was just so good. Okay, Rachel, coming in at the top of your list, but not really at the top because it's just a list of 3.
Heartless by Elsie Silver. It's the second book in the Chestnut Springs series. It's opposites attract, like Grumpy Sunshine, Single Dad. It has one of the best meet cutes I read this year. It was hilarious. It's in Kindle Unlimited, and it's just a great small town romance. It's excellent.
Yeah, it's on my Kindle. I need to read that one. Okay, Jenny, coming in at number 1 for you.
In a Jam by Kate Canterbury.
Such a good book.
It is. And I don't push books very often. And I was pushing this one before I even finished it. and it's a chunky book, but like she just puts all the elements together. Like she brings
when you're
everything together so well.
in that moment you're reading it, it doesn't feel chunky though.
No.
But if you like a potty mouthed child, then this book is for you.
It's Bernie Sanders, the dog, that wins the book.
Yes.
It's Bernie Sanders, the dog.
Those bastard chickens.
She talks like a pirate. She is 6. It's great. Okay. Thank you everybody for giving me your top 3 reads. And listeners, you'll be able to find the full list of recs on our website, on our On the Shelf show notes. So make sure you go over there and check those all out. At the beginning of December, we asked the community to nominate their favorite romance read of 2022. 40 books were nominated, and we had over 3,000 people vote. So the top 5 were only separated by a few votes. But we did, so after the general public voted, I took the top 5 and I put them to our Patreon. And I asked our Patreon, what book, do you feel like represents the community the most and is the best for the year? And the winner of our top community read, so the Buzzing About Romance 2022 community read is...
No, she's dragging it out.
Finding Carly by Susan Stoker, which is fitting because we had Susan Stoker on the podcast in January. Mm-hmm. And it was by far our most successful and downloaded episode of 2022. So
by leaps and bounds.
We now call it the Susan Stoker effect.
We do.
Because like she was this huge number of downloads and people really came to listen. We picked up new listeners like Amanda and Danielle and even Merritt. They all found us through Susan. And because of that, like the next 4 or 5 episodes afterwards just all had great numbers because people stuck around and listened. So it's fitting that Finding Carly is our top community read. Okay.
Makes me happy. Me and my secret society.
You and the secret suspense society of Buzzing About Romance. Okay. You can find a list of all of our upcoming dates, including book club, happy hours, plot a book, and reading challenges at bookcaseandcoffee.com. And we would like to take a moment, as this episode is dropping on December 25th, to give a huge shout out and a huge thank you to all of our Patreon members in 2022. You guys kept the podcast going. You kept us engaged. There are several times this year that I was ready to give up and walk away. And just knowing that we had you and your community support really just kept us in it, kept us reading and searching for our next 5-star read. So if you'd like to find details out how to join us on Patreon, you can join us. You can find out at patreon.com/bookcaseandcoffee.
And Clear the TBR is wrapping up. All entries are due on the website by December 31st. So you have just under a week to do that. You can find details on how to enter on the website. And we have some buzzing swag along with money to one of our favorite bookish retailers up for grabs. Just go to bookcaseandcoffee.com and you can find all the information there.
Yeah. So thank you to all of you contributors.
Thank you so much. It's been a fun year, guys.
It's been a great year.
A little chaotic, but fun.
I would like to say that I did notice on quite a few of these lists, there were books that I've been kind of pushing on people. So it makes me feel like a little bit of a power. So I'm probably going to be on a power trip for a couple days.
Oh, good. Awesome.
More books coming into your text messages. Watch.
Yeah, we're gonna up the ante in 2023. The challenge is, can all 3 of the books on our list next year be recommended by Becky?
Okay, let's start with December and everybody go read Sexting. No, that didn't come out this month. No, His Holiday Treat.
His Holiday Treat
by Sarah Vale.
It's a novella. Is it a novella?
It's a novella.
Yeah.
It's delightful. You
Who is
won't
it
be
by?
disappointed. Sarah Bale.
Yeah.
Sarah with an H.
Oh,
B-A-L-E.
Carolina, it's right up your alley because it's a holiday baking competition with
Ooh,
quirky,
sold.
fun clothes,
Downloading now.
yeah.
age
That's
gap.
in-
Skincare.
It's in Kindle Unlimited.
Okay,
It's
so
delightful.
I should say the reason this title ended up on my radar, it's funny because everyone's like, oh, if Becky reads it, if she tells us to read it, I read it. So honestly, like this book by Sarah Bale that I keep telling everyone to read, it showed up on my radar because Heather shared the cover with me. And I was like, hot damn, that's my kind of cover. Because it's a cute illustrated Christmas
Illustrated.
cover.
Super cute.
Mhm.
And then I
And it's
emailed,
an age gap.
and it's an age
And
gap.
she's curvy. I like
Yeah.
her curves.
She is, and Sarah does a great job
Like,
with the
that's
real bodied
a
wrap.
real woman right there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
I emailed the author and I was like, hey, would you mind providing us with 2 advanced copies? And Leah and I got to read it. So, you guys, if you're listening to this episode and you're like, well, Becky, I have books I think you should read, send them to me.
Then send them.
Message
send them
us,
on.
email us, slide into our DMs because we want to know the books you think we should be reading that we haven't read yet because
Mhm.
I do listen. It sometimes takes me a year, right, Rachel?
Yes.
But
it
I do
does.
listen.
We'll see if I can get you to read some more.
Right?
We'll see
Maybe
how that
next-
goes in 2023.
Maybe by next year.
Maybe that'll be our 2023 resolution. I will read the books Rachel tells me to read.
I've been begging for a whole month of Mafia for like how many years?
Hey,
And
We've
so
been
Becky's-
we've been
Ah.
reading some. We have read
Becky's like,
some.
Yeah, I'll read all the Mafia books I've recommended. She's like, oh, let's try this one. So now she's got me and Justin hooked on this book we're reading for next month. Justin's like, don't listen to that book without me.
you're
I love
welcome.
it.
But actually, that rec came from Leah, so you're welcome.
Wait, which ones are they?
Rise of the King. And then I read
Oh,
that
the Bella Matthews one. And
Taken
then Michelle
by a
Michelle
Sinner.
Hurd, the Sinner series.
Hot damn that book. You
It's
guys.
really good.
Anyway,
Heather, I'll send you all the emails.
Yes.
Mhm.
I just want to say thank you so much to the contributors. Thank you to you, the listeners. Everybody enjoy your last few days of 2022. And we look forward to tons more book recs and romance book fun in 2023. Until next time, everyone.
Happy reading, everybody.
Find us on Instagram at Buzzing About Romance or on Twitter at Buzzing Romance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.